burial ceremony and the rituals
Yeah.
that we have, salahs and so on and so forth. I think the role of resident alim is much more than that, due to his access to the knowledge of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam and Quran. He can be much, much more influential, and he can provide more services than only prayers and lectures and
Yeah.
these rituals that we have, which I think sometimes due to the infrastructure of and establishment of the centers, sometimes their effort is undermined and is not appreciated. So it is very important for a scholar to be able to influence, especially the young and the children. I think from now on, every center should be thinking and focusing solely and only on the youth.
Yeah.
The adults, inshallah, will come and they will participate and they will be part of the community, but the youth. So when we have that in mind, that we want to cater to youth, the structure of the programs, the way we operate, the way we function, completely it will change, because in a way we are a business. I mean, it's truly that we don't have money, we're not selling anything. We need more customers. We need to think, how can we deliver the message of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in the best possible?
Yeah.
So we have to use marketing. How can I deliver the message of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in a way that is attracting for the youth, that they
Yeah.
can appreciate the teachings of Ahlul Bayt?
So, Sheikhna, that's a very modern look at the role of an imam. What's the historical context behind this specific role?
Well, historical context comes from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That Rasulullah, the way he lived, and masjid was not only a place for worship. People would come to the masjid and to the mosque to resolve their issues,
Yeah.
financial issues, their needs, their questions. Everything was done in the Islamic center. Imam Ali alayhi salam, the same thing, like time of Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen, people would come to I mean, to Masjid al-Nabi or to a mosque for needs to be granted. People have all sort of needs that the mosque and especially the imam as a leader should be able to provide.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, how important, Sheikhna, is knowing the latest trends, knowing the lingo, knowing what really makes the youth tick? Because typically when you see an imam, there's always a disconnect between the youth and the imam himself, maybe because the presence of a turban or a specific costume or the clothing of an imam. So how important is really understanding what issues youth face in this day and age with your role as an imam?
Well, the important is that if you do not connect with the youth at their level, you won't be able to attract them to our mosques. I
Yeah.
mean, every mosque that I've been, they always have concern that how can we bring the youth in? How can we attract them? How can we involve them? As a religious leader, I think that's one of the most important role a religious leader and a sheikh or imam
Yeah.
can play. It's to connect with them, and that can be from. So first, I have to have that vision. I have to have that mindset that I want to connect with the youth. I want to bring them here. Alhamdulillah, we're blessed at Imam Ali Center in Virginia that we have every Friday. We have a Friday night. We have Q&A. Q&A. We have more than 100 of the youth coming, and it takes
MashaAllah.
small little things. For example, when they come and they shake hand, you just don't shake hand normal. You just dab them. Oh, there is something very, very big for them. It's nothing. I mean, it's just normal. I mean, but or sitting with them eating hamburger. I remember one of the time I was sitting and I was eating hamburger with them at the table. Like, oh, we never sat with the sheikh and eat hamburger, or listening to their slang or to their slango or whatever they're just saying to one another. Here
Yeah.
and there, just drop it. one of them, they will be like, oh my God, Sheikh is saying whatever we're saying, basically. They
Okay.
feel connected. You should be able to befriend them. And
But
befriending needs to be for you to be at their same, at the level that they are.
yeah, doesn't that in a way compromise the traditional persona of an imam if he's speaking in a certain lingo or eating with them in a certain way?
Well, in order for us to get the youth involved, we have to let go of that persona. We have to
Absolutely.
be able. I mean, I have a lot of the youth, alhamdulillah, this is all blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. They sometimes they stand and they put their hand like this on my shoulder while they're standing next
Oh
to
my
me, and we're
God.
standing within a circle. And sometimes the adult come and they tell them, okay, how dare you like just put like this your hand? You know, when they stand friends
Yeah,
next to
yeah,
one another, they are completely different. So I told them, no, no, it's okay. I really want to be part of them. I want to be one of them. When we see a hadith about Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi
اللهم
wa
صل
alayhi,
على محمد.
narrators tell us that kana wahidan minna or ahadin minna. He was one of us. Like when they would sit with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, they will sit in a circle that when a person would walk in, they won't be able to identify which one was Rasulullah. And they will say, okay, which one of you is Muhammad? Well, so that gives us an indication and that teaches us that, okay, you have to be one of them. Well, in that case, you have to know that you know your era, know your time, know the people that you are trying to influence, and be one of them. On the contrary, they will have more respect for you. They really want to, or like when I wear my saya or my uniform or my attire, sometimes they come and say, "How many pockets do you have? Like, what is like?" They want to see, they want to feel. They're like, "Okay, how is Sheikh? Life goes,"
Yeah.
and then okay, you have to connect with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned, Sheikhna, in one of our conversations earlier that, imams should lead the community to change. How do you personally go about achieving this?
Well, first, we have to believe that change is required within our Islamic centers. Everybody knows that we need to provide our information and our deen for the youth. That is the
Yeah.
focus. It should be. Then we should be willing to change. That willingness sometimes is harder for the older founders of the community, which we really, really appreciate them. And they went through a lot for every Islamic center in the West to come into existence. It wasn't easy, I know, and I really appreciate it. So I think the change should be number one, for the leadership of the center to be handed and the management and directing of the center should be handed to the youth 19, 20, 21, 23, 24, and someone to supervise them to make sure if they need anything for them to provide rather than having the adults and the olders like 40 plus 50 plus 60 and some places 70 plus for them to manage and direct the day-to-day activities, and you have a youth committee there doing some program. I don't see that much youth involvement. That is good. That's a progress. That's one step closer to the goal. But I think same as we have done in Imam Ali Center, we have about 14, 15 boys and girls, youngest to be age 19 right now and the oldest to be 25. They run everything in the center,
Yeah.
literally from A to Z. I told them, even though religiously I'm the leader, legally I am in charge, but you run everything and I have only one vote. So when they see me that I did not use my role to like to take advantage of it,
Yep.
and I'm just giving one vote, and sometimes it goes against my will. Well, they're not going to do haram. They just have a difference of opinion. How about if we do it this way is better? Let them try it. Let them see it. Let them see and
Yeah.
experience it.
I guess what's the worst that can happen, really? I mean, if
Nothing.
they're organizing a program or if they're trying to, bring together the youth and they want to make their own decisions, genuinely, what's the worst that could happen, Sheikhna? We're going to take a very, very small break. Sorry to cut you there, Sheikh. After the break, I really want to know about the specific ins and outs of the day-to-day running of the mosque. And then also we'll ask you a couple of questions around how you maintain the heritage of an imam, but also be able to become a bit more social. So that's one to look out for after the break, inshallah, with Sheikh Mustafa Akhoon. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. That is Ahkam SOS. You can catch Sayyid Muhsin Shah and Sheikh Ali Maash Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. UK time for your regular jurisprudential issues. Now, once again, if you just joined us, we're discussing the role of an imam and how it needs to change, essentially, in our modern mosques due to changes in society, due to changes in our youth, in our demographic. And so we're discussing this with His Eminence, Sheikh Mustafa Akhoon, who joins us all the way from Virginia in the United States in the early hours of, I would say, 6 a.m. Sheikhna, thank you very much once again for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me and hosting me. I'm honored to serve.
Thank you. Sheikhna, in a rapidly changing world, it's changing every month, it's changing every year, and we have to always kind of keep up with the latest trends. Now, how does the Imam reconcile traditional Islamic teachings with contemporary societal issues? Because you need to ensure that the teachings are relevant, but you don't want to compromise on the core principles of Islam.
Well, the teachings of Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they're always relevant. They're always up to date and they won't get old. That's the beauty of the teachings of Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam.
Okay.
But what it requires us is for us to be up to date with, as you mentioned, the latest trend. So to spend some time on social media, on seeing what's happening on Instagram, what's happening on Telegram, TikTok, and all of these latest social media's app for us to be up to date and hear the youth. When we get a lot of youth involved in the center, slowly, and we build relationship, when we sit around them, we should have our eyes and ears open to hear them. What are they talking about? What are their concerns? One of the programs that we established in our center, Imam Ali Center, is Friday night Q&A. It's really open-ended Q&A, and I keep encouraging them. I remember starting this almost 11 years ago. People were shy to ask questions. Maybe we can, maybe we cannot. But when you open the platform, when you open the dialogue for them to ask question, they stop slowly would come. And I see when I go to some communities, I have to beg them, please ask question. Don't be shy. Everything
Yeah.
okay to be asked. So when you give them that opportunity, they start asking questions rather than always they coming to the center, sheikh talking. They coming to the center, somebody's giving lecture. You won't be able to hear their concern, and you have to be very active to get to know, to ask around what's happening in the community, who has problem, who has issues, and try to figure out what is happening and
Yeah.
try to bring the solution from the teachings of Quran and Ahlul Bayt.
We'll pause on the social media part because I want to ask you a question about some of the activities that you're doing on social media later on. But really, in terms of some ethical dilemmas that you might face or imams in mosques might face, especially in the course of your duties, can you provide some examples of some ethical dilemmas that are day-to-day real life examples and how we should approach making decisions on such topics?
Well, one of the dilemmas I have is the gap between the parents and the kids and the youth in
Yeah.
our community, and how to have them at the same time respect. Sometimes parents really don't make sense in what they say. Sometimes, I mean, I know they have concern and they're trying to see the best for their children, but what they are suggesting is completely against the teachings of Islam. So trying to come up to the youth and educating that at the same time that you really have to respect your parents. And that is the utmost important task you have in your life. But at the same time, well, whatever they're saying is not right. And you should not act upon it, or you should pursue what you're trying to do because that is Islamic. And talking with the parents with the respect, because a lot of the parents are older than you, alhamdulillah. I'm still a
Yeah.
little bit young. I mean, youthhood left me a little bit. It's in the end of it. But a lot of these parents are much older than me. So I have to really think how I can talk with them and convince them that the time and the era that we are living is different. We have
Yeah.
to see something different in this time.
Shaykhna, has any one of the parents had any issues with your approach, or any of the elders?
They have, yes. I mean, I do focus a lot on marriage and early marriage within the communities because unfortunately, uh, age of marriage has gone really, really high, and I'm trying to bring
Yeah.
it very, very as much low as possible, which is logical, rational, and religious, and I can see fit. So within many of my lectures, I do emphasize on marriage, and sometimes parents went to my wife and they told them, well, as soon as she talks about marriage, we take our girls and we leave. And we
Oh,
don't want our girls to be open to this. And their girls like I know, 20, 21, 22. So I was thinking, okay, when do you want them to get married in that case? So we do have that dilemma sometimes, yeah.
all right. So, Sheikhna, specifically now on a day-to-day basis and how your mosque is run, I've personally, been aware, and I've had the honor of seeing how it's run, and I've seen the excitement, Sheikhna, on their faces. And I remember this in Eid al-Ghadir this year. And I remember the excitement on their faces because they had just finished the celebration, and they had brought out the backdrop for the Muharram Majlis, and I couldn't see an adult in sight. It was all, as you were mentioning, 19, 20, 21 year olds who were so excited for this program, and they knew they were going to pull off an amazing 10 nights with, I think it was yourself and Muhammad Fahim Akbar. So talk to us about the different roles that the mosque has, because I remember seeing the cook, who was quite old, but then his assistant, who was very, very young, and different language. Do you know what I mean? So how does it work?
Well, when as a leader you have that mindset that you want to unite the community, well, the unity of the community, especially uniting the Shia community, that becomes your objective. Well, uniting means you have to be able to unite the old and young. You need to be able to unite the different background, different nationalities. We have Afghani, Iraqi, Pakistani, Irani, Khoja, Lebanese, Jordanian. You have all of this, so you have to be able to unite them. So, and how do we unite them? By giving them roles, by letting them do things together, by letting them experience different tasks and different roles within the center. They will get to know one another. They will appreciate one another's efforts. Like as you mentioned, our cook, he's very expert, old Afghan brother. May Allah give him long life. And then we have his assistants and his aides that right now, mashallah, after 1 year, he's really cooking. He's, mashallah, he's pulling off a good big program. Because me and the cook, we were together in Arba'in in Karbala. This young chef who is Iraqi, he's almost 21 years old, he was able to cook for Shahad Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Arba'in program,
SubhanAllah.
and Shahad of Rasulullah by himself. And the cook, when he
MashaAllah.
heard it, when he was with me in Karbala, he was in tears. Like, Alhamdulillah, I was able to teach him and to
Yeah.
pass this responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, moving slightly on, I think on a last note, I think this really epitomizes and brings to life what you've been saying in terms of really connecting with the youth and connecting with our current age. And I've seen recently that you've started to upload some short educational reels on social media, specifically relating to hadiths and narrations of the Imam. So, how does the Imam, as in yourself, your role, leverage digital platforms and social media for community outreach while again maintaining the sanctity of traditional mosque practices?
Well, we have a hadith that the Prophet mentioned that we have been commanded to talk to people to the level of their intellect and to the level of their understanding.
Yeah.
When I read this hadith, I understand, okay, my understanding is the level of understanding and intellect and attention span of our youth has unfortunately reduced to very, very low, not more than a minute. And I saw that within our own community, these small little talks here, there, one hadith here, one story there, how it influenced our youth. Then I thought, okay, well, why don't I use the social media platform and disseminate the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and spread it all around the world. And it's been a quiet amazement for myself, and I'm really honored with that. And I'm really apologizing to the Imams of Ahlul Bayt and the teachings of Quran that I didn't start it sooner. That the community really accepted this, and I mean, I'm really seeing that there is a big place and area we can have our endeavors. Social media, like people are really in need. People are keep following up, keep adding, and keep subscribing, and people really want to know about the religion. But we have to see where they are, and we go to them rather than having people to come to us. Again, that's the hadith of Rasulullah, that Rasulullah was like a doctor going around and curing people. So we have to go around. How do we go around today? Well, we go with social media.
Absolutely. Shaykhna, look, I'd love to continue our discussion. We probably will have this discussion off air, and I hope our paths meet and cross as ever, as we always do. So it's a lovely to have you on the show. So thank you for very much for actually waking up early to be on the show.
Thank you so much for hosting me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. May Allah bless you. It's a very good program. I wish the timing also would work for our community in America. Probably most of our community members in America that are sleeping right now. Thank you, Ma'am. 3 and all the staff behind the scene. My sincere salam to all of them, from the oldest to the youngest, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shaykhna. So that was resident alim of Imam Ali Mosque in Virginia, counselor and director, Sheikh Mustafa Akhoon. Thank you very much for your time. Now,